President Trump's trade wars are starting to hit America's hard and have real-world consequences. We reported on yesterday's show that Harley-Davidson announced it is moving production of motorcycles heading to Europe from U.S. factories to factories overseas.
Okay, wait a second. Let's stop there.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump said, John Meacham, that trade wars were easy.
Yeah.
Everybody since Herbert Hoover has known the exact opposite to be true. Yeah. Everybody has warned Donald Trump of this. Yeah. And now we're starting to see in Paul Ryan's home state. Now, Paul Ryan's silent on this stuff. He might say, oh, I like free trade. He sure as hell hasn't fought him. He hasn't forced a vote to come to the House floor. He's from Wisconsin. And Harley is now, they're going to start losing jobs now because of the fecklessness of people like Paul Ryan, because of the fecklessness of people like Mitch McConnell, who will not put votes on the floor to support free trade because they're not conservatives, they're Trumpists. They're not, let me say again, they're not conservatives, they're Trumpists. If they were conservatives and followed the ideology of Bill Buckley, followed the ideology of Milton Friedman, followed the ideology of Hayek, followed the ideology of the Kochs, of Ronald Reagan, then they would have done something. But they've sat on their hands trembling, and now Americans are starting to lose jobs. Great job, fellas. Hope it's worth it.
Yeah. And the other people who we should mention is people like Lamar Alexander, who was the governor of Tennessee, went to Japan, got investment. There was this period of, I know we're not supposed to use this word, but there was this kind of bipartisan period where if you wanted prosperity, because if, Adam Smith world, you had to go out and hunt for jobs around the world, and you got a lot of them. The other thing is, I think the last 75 years or so can be really 32 to 16 can be seen as this tension between FDR and Reagan, right? It was a contentious but coherent conversation. This chapter is not.
This is not coherent.
This is this
great way of
miasma of populism and nationalism. No one's sure how much we really mean, how much of it's. And to go to David's point, people in Brussels are trying to figure this out. It's just a chaotic period where nothing makes sense in a way that the last 3/4 of a century, wherever you stood politically, it made sense.
By the way, it made sense, Mika, not only that, but it was called the American century for a reason. Yeah. We dominated the global stage, and I will say it again, I don't need a chart. You can look at every other country, and you can see the GDP go up and down. This, from 1945 to now, has been America's GDP. People can bitch and whine all they want. They can complain all they want about Washington doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Our GDP has been a consecutive straight line up because of the system that people from FDR, through Harry Truman, through Ike, through Kennedy, through Johnson, through Nixon, through Ford, through Carter, through Reagan, through Bush, through Clinton, through Bush, through Obama, all fought for. And this jackal in the White House, can I say that?
Yep.
I don't even know what it means, but it sounds good.
I think it works.
Okay, this guy says, oh, I'm going to change all of that. Right. Yes, we've had the American century, and yes, we've had more unprecedented economic growth than any country in the history of this planet. But I'm just going to change things because I feel like it.
No, it's worse than that.
And we're going to see what happens. Mark it down. We're going to see what happens. It's June 26th.
Okay.
Let's see
I
what happens.
want to get Betsy Woodruff in here, so zip it.
Means.
In a statement, Harley-Davidson says in part, quote, increasing international production to alleviate the EU tariff burden is not the company's preference, but represents the only sustainable option to make its motorcycles accessible to customers in the EU and maintain a viable business in Europe. Retaliating against Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs, the EU raised tariffs on American-made motorcycles from 6% to 31%. The EU is Harley-Davidson's second largest market after the U.S., and the company estimates the tariffs will cost it about $100 million annually. Trump responded to the news on Twitter, quote, surprised that Harley-Davidson of all companies would be the first to wave the white flag. I fought hard for them. And ultimately, they will not pay tariffs selling into the EU, which has hurt us badly on trade, down $151 billion. Tax is just a Harley excuse. Be patient. In a statement, Republican Senator Ben Sasse says, quote, "This will go over like a Vespa at Sturgis. The problem isn't that Harley is unpatriotic, it's that tariffs are stupid. They're tax increases on Americans. They don't work, and apparently we're going to see more of this."
Well, and
Betsy.
They're taxes on Americans. This is the Trump tariff tax, which everybody's been saying from the very beginning. By the way, definition of jackal in Urban Dictionary: a legendary Irishman who stands outside social influence and spits on all who would try to change his ways.
Perfect.
I think it fits.
You really nailed it.
There you go.
Good job.
It sounded good. I
Betsy
just sort of like the punch of the word.
Talk about first of all, Harley-Davidson's move, and then the president's response.
Look, it's curious that the president tweeted what he did, because he should not have been surprised to see Harley-Davidson move. You don't have to be a genius economist to understand that Harley does a ton of business with the EU. You don't have to be a soothsayer to recognize that when the United States tiptoes into trade wars, our allies or our trading partners are going to respond. I mean, this is the way, these are the laws of thermodynamics. An action has an equal and opposite reaction. If the United States tries to punish other countries with trade barriers, they're going to respond in kind. And additionally, another very odd thing about that tweet was the president suggesting that Harley-Davidson wasn't ultimately going to pay tariffs. Harley-Davidson is ultimately going to pay tariffs. That's how trade wars work. It's a very strange, curious way of him trying to defend himself, when the reality is that this is the way trade wars operate. This was entirely predictable.
All right, still ahead on Morning Joe, we're going to be taking a look at today's primary races. I also want to get back to that with Betsy and David. We're going to talk about what impact and the chaos out of the White House might have on voters nationwide. And we've got a new look from the southern border, how private citizens are stepping into the void that's been caused by broken government policy. You know, we saw that. I saw it firsthand after Katrina, how churches and citizens stepped forward. You know, we were taking water over to Mississippi and Louisiana because the government wasn't doing their job. Did it for a couple weeks. Apparently that's happening here.
Well, at the very least, it's hopeful that you can see people stepping up. You're watching Morning Joe. We'll be right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.